Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Coffee Break with Dion Jim. I'm Dion. This is my buddy Jim here. For those of you who are maybe new to the channel or came because of the stuff that blew up in Springfield, what do you like? What do you know about what's happening in Springfield?
Honestly, not
much,
a
right?
lot conclusively. I mean, I see a lot of the little YouTube videos and the TikToks and all that stuff where they're like, they're eating cats or eating dogs or, sexual assault and, illegal guns and
Right.
So I don't know any of the validity of any of that.
Right. I think that's where most Americans are. Just kind of, like we see all the viral videos and stuff, but as far as actual definitive facts, right, or the ability to look at this and go, yes, this is factual, this is happening. I think most Americans are in the boat where, I'm kind of waiting to see somebody prove it to me.
Right.
But I also don't live in Springfield,
Right.
So as you know, we're taking a trip to Springfield. Myself and was going to be my producer, but he wasn't able to go. So I'm going to drag along my adult son and put his ass to work. But, excuse me, I think a lot of people are missing the underlying cause of what's happening in Springfield. And we can talk about, the Haitians and, the migrants did this and these people did that. But I think this is something that has actually been going on for a lot longer than people realize. And not necessarily the influx, right, of quote, the migrants, but just the underlying cause of how this came about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this has been going on for a long time. It just was one of those things that it wasn't in the heartland.
Right.
It was always in the
blue cities.
It's in the sanctuary cities, the stuff on the coast, yada, yada, yada. You never expect that stuff to happen, we're so far removed from the border.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the thing is a lot of people don't realize is nobody ever talks about the illegals that are making it here, for example, through Chicago.
Right.
Because Chicago is so far removed from the southern border.
Right. You don't think about it at all. But as we saw, did you see the videos where they had all of the migrants, illegals, whatever? I'm just going to call them migrants because I don't know their status, right? And there's a lot of claims of, well, they're not illegal because they're seeking asylum. We have to do it this way. Da 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 da. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's not for me to sort out. So I'm just going to say migrants just for expeditious purposes. But have you seen the videos of all the migrants that are camped out in the police station and O'Hare Airport?
No, I haven't.
Okay. There's an entire section of O'Hare Airport, at least there was at the time of the video, that is basically taken over for migrant processing.
Right.
And it's this huge area of the terminal that's blocked off. Regular passengers can't even go there because there's security. They're camped out there. They're camped out in police stations in Chicago. Have you seen those? So I'm going to find them just because I want to show you. But maybe you guys haven't seen it either. This is something that goes back several years. This has been a constant, increasing bell curve of unvetted. I think that's the problem people, especially the left, right? They're like, oh, these people are just looking for a better life. They're just this, they're just that, right? I'm not going to pretend that every immigrant is bad. Right. I would even argue that the majority are good people just looking for a better life. But what percentage makes it dangerous? Is it 0.1%? Is it 1%? Is it 10%? Where is the line, right? If you figure, 20%.
And honestly, that's a very simple answer. Once you strip everything away, at what point is it dangerous?
Right.
One dangerous person gets through, it's dangerous.
Right.
It's not it's not a numbers game. We're not talking about acceptable losses here.
Right.
We're talking about, security and safety.
Yeah.
And, the numbers have it. Okay, well, let's put this in perspective. Let's say automotive industry.
Okay.
They crank out hundreds of thousands of fucking engines,
Okay.
and one of them fails. By the numbers, well, that's a pretty good track record.
Right. Statistically, it's just a blip.
But when you get that car with the bad engine, I mean, do you just go, well,
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Right. No, of course not. You want the company to make it right.
Right. And that's what we're looking at. People get so hung up on numbers, and numbers can be manipulated in so many different ways. It's all spin control.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we've talked about this several times about statistics and whatnot. And it's like you can make those numbers look like anything in the world. And, technically speaking, the numbers weren't wrong, but it's on the presentation of it. Like you put enough garnish on, a dog turd and it's a gourmet meal.
I mean, I hear there's some restaurants that charge extra.
Right. I mean, it's like, it doesn't matter how much fucking rosemary you put on a fucking dog turd, it's not goose liver pate.
I mean, yeah. So one of the things that I've seen, right, there's been a lot of people calling for investigations of like where these people are coming from and etc. Again, I think we're missing the bigger picture here, right?
I will agree with that.
Okay.
But I'm gonna walk it back a little bit.
Okay.
Once we strip all the nonsense away.
Yep.
You want to come to this country, you want to have a better life, all of that.
Right.
Cool, fine.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that.
Right.
There's a process to it.
Right.
And when you don't follow that process, the reason you have for coming here is irrelevant at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. If you're,
if you want to cut the fucking line,
right.
And let's put in, terms that, the layperson can understand. You're in line at the grocery store and somebody just wheels their cart in front of you. I mean, are you going to just take it on the chin?
Right.
Is it just like, well, they're probably in a hurry, or, there's this, I don't know their situation. Everybody's got a situation.
Yeah. And so let's dive on that for a moment, right? So there's the school of thought, right, that it says it's better just to avoid confrontation, right? To just let them do their thing. They can go first, whatever, right? And then there's another school of thought that I call, the karma school of thought, where if an individual has enough gumption to cut in front of me, for example, I hope they're prepared to deal with the consequences.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, if you can't dance if you don't want to pay the band.
There. Right.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. The whole, oh, we don't want to cause any waves and it's just not worth the fight. It's not worth the hassle. And, let's take it a little further. Well, there won't be any problems as long as you just conform.
Right.
As long as you bend that knee. I mean, why would you want to make your life more difficult when you could just comply?
Right. We saw that not that long ago.
We see it all the time.
Yeah.
To one degree or another. I mean, and sometimes it starts by inches.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And I'm sure we've talked about that. It's like just a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here. And the next thing you know, well, where did I end up?
Right. Well, there are many, obviously, correlations there, but one of the biggest is like the Second Amendment, right? And compromise. Well, if you just agree to common sense gun laws, there won't be a problem.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'll take it even simpler than that.
Okay.
You know, something maybe that people don't think about because, you know, Second Amendment is a big, you know, big hot button issue right now. Well, let's take it to something a little more innocuous.
Okay.
Driving.
All right.
Okay, you're driving. You get pulled over for speeding or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is something I know a little bit about.
It is. Yeah.
So, you know, you get pulled over, you get your ticket or whatever. You can go to your day in court and you can, you know, try to fight this ticket, plead your case, whatever.
Yep.
Or you can just pay the money. You can just pay the money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a fine, right?
Yeah, it's just a fine.
You know, it's a lot cheaper than, you know, taking a day out of your life, you know, to go to court. Oh, and by the way, whatever court date we tell you, that's not the court date because it's going to change at least once, if not 2-3 times.
Yep.
Because, we made a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got too many people who need to be. We need to.
Yeah, whatever.
All this. Yeah.
So just pay. Yeah, it's really not that much money when you think about it.
Right. Compared to taking a whole day off of work
and taking your chances.
Right.
Because then you go to court and they judge against you. Not only do you have to pay the money that you would have paid, now you got to pay court costs and we might suspend your license.
Right.
So just pay the money.
Possible. Yeah, just pay the money. That's
okay, cool.
Do, right?
So you pay the money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, didn't we tell you? You have to send us a certificate of compliance saying that you have car insurance.
Right.
So we're just going to go ahead and suspend your license till you do that.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So you gave us your certificate of compliance. Now you can have your license back. Oh, but you know what? Now you've got too many points on your license. So you're going to have to take a safe driving course.
Right.
It's not a big deal. You can go somewhere and do it. You can do it online. You can get the DVDs and the workbook, and you can just do it that way. And it's only going to cost you a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And then you know, you can have your license back.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't we tell you? Now you got your license back. You have to reapply for a license, but that's just going to cost you a little bit of money.
Yep.
You see where this is going?
Oh yeah. Everything.
You know, and God forbid you forget any step of that fucking convoluted process.
Yep.
Because now you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you may not even know it, and then God forbid you get pulled over again. Oh, well, didn't you know your license was suspended?
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to have to tow your car.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to have to, you know, pay a little bit of money to get that out if you do it that day.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you're going to have to pay a reinstatement. You know, you're going to have to get that cleared up.
Mm-hmm.
Then pay a reinstatement fee. Oh, and by the way, your license has too many points on it, so you're going to have to take a class. But it's just a little bit of money.
Just a little bit of money.
You see?
Oh yeah. I remember. Okay, so hypothetically speaking, we're talking about an individual, right, that we both know. I remember a period of time where this individual just couldn't catch a break. Mm-hmm. Their license was constantly being suspended, and like they get it cleared up and then they get resuspended because, like you said, they didn't provide this form or missed paying this amount of money, or
I'm not entirely sure, but I think this hypothetical person is probably me.
I was, yeah.
Hey, I'm not gonna, you know,
right.
You know, fucking. I've had a checkered past.
Yeah.
You know, there was like, you know, when you're younger, you don't think about paying tickets and stuff like that. And this was before the internet, and you could look stuff up. It's just like, you know, if you're in another county or something, now you got to pay a ticket in another county. You couldn't do it online.
Nope.
They didn't give you the stuff to mail it in. You had to go to the courthouse to do that.
Yep.
And you didn't do that. Well, then you got your license suspended until you took care of those tickets.
Right.
But you didn't know that.
Yep.
Or, you know, you found out about it, but I don't know what to do about it. Well, you still got to get to work. Yeah. You know, you still got to get places. Mm-hmm. So you keep driving because, you know, you got to.
You have to, right.
You know, then God forbid you get nailed for any or no reason. Mm-hmm. Man, I just pulled you over because it was raining and I thought you were going a little too fast.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. You know, the cop actually said he felt bad for me. He's like, if I'd have known, I wouldn't even pulled you over.
Yeah. Yeah. But And that's, you know what? That actually goes to, obviously, this is before the days of everybody has a body cam, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the side effects of insisting on, don't get me wrong, I'm all for transparency and, body cams, I'm all for that. But one of the side effects of that is that in many cases, the officer discretion is taken away.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do certain things, right?
Once upon a time, it was as likely as not you were going to get a cop that was going to cut you a break.
Yeah.
As long as you weren't
Are you far from home? No, let me follow you home. Yeah. Park it, get your shit fixed.
Hey, I can't let you drive this car because you don't have a license.
Right. You got a friend you can
call. I can drive you here so you can call somebody because this was a time before cell phones.
Right. Yep.
Pull it into this parking lot over here, have somebody come get it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then obviously with the advent of, body cams and let's not, let's be 100% honest here. People who abused that discretion. People, like we're told, hey, don't touch this vehicle, get someone else to come drive it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as the cop pulls away, they hop behind the wheel and take off.
Right.
I mean,
or the so-called auditors who are always like, want to scrutinize every little aspect. That takes that discretion away.
Right. Let's talk about that whole First Amendment audit thing for a minute. You and I have slightly different views on that. I know you're,
I'm not against the concept of it.
Okay.
Here's the thing. If you're legitimately, recording something for your safety or to make sure that, everybody's on the same page, everybody's telling the same story.
Right.
Cool.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Where I have the problem is the people who, I'm an auditor. So they go out egging people on.
Okay.
In the name of, my First Amendment right.
Uh-huh.
And, I'm auditing you, this, that, and the other.
Right.
It's antagonistic.
Okay.
And it's not, you're not holding anybody accountable other than your YouTube account.
Okay.
That's where I have the problem.
Mm.
I see this shit all the time. And it's like, I watch these videos and I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, the person that they're dealing with is necessarily in the right.
Yeah.
But when I hear their tone, I hear their demeanor, I hear their wording, and I see their, the way they're moving and acting, it's like, you're being intentionally antagonistic. You're goading somebody into an altercation.
Fair enough.
And I think in that case, you don't have as much high ground as you think you do. And then of course we get this whole trend now of audit the audit.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's got to get a piece of that pie.
Has to get a piece,
but, you don't want to go out and actually do the footwork.
Yeah.
You just want to, comment on somebody else's video. It's like those dual view TikToks and shit like that.
There's a name for it. A stitch, I think.
Not a stitch. A stitch is like a controversial, view or something like that. But it's just like
watching fucking TikTok videos.
I mean, you stumble across them, man. I mean, it's like I don't even have TikTok, but it's everywhere. I mean, it is
everywhere. Yeah,
it's like fucking herpes,
Right.
Just when you think you're doing, but bam, fucking TikTok video. Holy shit! Oh man, I feel a TikTok video coming on.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same thing as. You got people that they don't say nothing. They don't do nothing. You just see a picture of their face next to a video and them going maybe
right.
Yeah. And how lazy is this? So yeah, that's how I feel about audit the audit.
Right.
Is okay. I mean, and a lot of the times the audit always goes in favor of the auditor. Because God forbid that, somebody who's, just exercising their First Amendment
Uh-huh.
would ever be wrong.
Right, of course.
And, and I don't mean to oversimplify it because it can be, pretty nuanced. But I think it's becoming a disturbing trend. It's the new reality TV.
Right. So this goes back. I found one of the things I was looking for. So this goes back to when I was telling you about O'Hare, right? I did a video on it. The actual video that I'm talking about is on that video, but I'm not going to dig for it right now. But what I am going to do is update you. So, interestingly enough, here is the headline, right? The headline is, this is Chicago Tribune, no migrants camped out at O'Hare International Airport. Now, as you guys well know, when you're scrolling, doom scrolling or just scrolling across the internet, only the first part of that headline shows up, right? So all you're going to see is no migrants camped out at O'Hare as you're scrolling through, right? But the rest of it, for first time since summer, questions loom over dwindling city funds. Now this article post whatever was February 8th. So back in February, they're talking about how there's no more migrants camped out at O'Hare.
Right, because they ran out of money.
Right.
Which is another thing that fucking bugs the shit out of me.
Okay.
It's like, oh God, we're running out of money for the migrants. Chicago can't finish a fucking road.
Here it is right here. Hold on. The airport for months, home to hundreds of migrants who have camped out there while awaiting beds in the city-run shelter system, currently only has 4 migrants waiting there as of this morning, according to city data. The tentative relief comes after Chicago police stations, which at one point saw more than 3,300 asylum seekers sleeping on floors, were also cleared of encampments in December.
Right. And which begs the question, where did they go?
Exactly. Where did they go?
Yeah.
They didn't send them home.
No.
So what municipality were they shipped off to?
Yeah, where did they end up?
Yep.
Gary, South Bend, Michigan City, LaPorte.
All possible.
I mean, those are very short drives.
I don't know. So talking about Michigan City for a minute. We've always had homeless in Michigan City, right? That's just the nature of the beast, right? We've always had a couple of people that you see all the time, right? Particular guy hanging out, by the Meyer, that row behind Meyer, the little theater there.
Yeah.
There's usually somebody camped out there and has been for quite a while, even before.
Yeah.
This,
the guy hanging out in front of the gas station, talking to himself.
Yeah. They're, the guy who wanders around the parking lot of the gas station asking for change. You have those. But I have noticed an explosion of homeless in Michigan City.
Well, and
over the last year or so.
Here's the thing about the homeless in Michigan City, and I'm by no means an authority on it, but I hear stuff, I see stuff. A lot of the homeless we've had homeless for a long time.
Right. That's
the thing about here, as opposed to some other places, is you never see them. There's a lot of hidey holes in Michigan City. The old Marquette Theater. There's a patch of woods behind there.
Yep.
There's the Barker Nature Preserve. A lot of densely wooded areas that they can just kind of
hang out.
Hole up in, and they're off the beaten path. You're not going to see them.
Right.
But I think those places are running out of room.
Oh yeah.
Or they're getting chased out of those places.
Yeah, that's one thing. So the that wooded area by Marquette that you're talking about, I guess the individual who actually owns that property there is tired of, and he even said, it was kind of funny. Now this is via multiple sources, but I haven't talked to the guy myself.
Right.
But allegedly, he doesn't even care about the fact that the homeless go there and stay.
Mhm.
It's all the trash,
Right.
all the trash that they leave.
Mhm.
Bags of human waste, wrappers from various. There's a lot of trash that goes along with homeless,
Right.
and that's just the way that it is.
Yeah. They don't have trash pickup in those areas,
right,
man.
Yeah, it's not like they have the trash can there that they can wheel out to the road. And speaking of like trash pickup, right? It's always been interesting to me. So when, for example, the waste management people strike, or like there was the garbage workers union, I think in New York, that went on strike, how quickly garbage piles up, and how quickly like people, we don't even know how to get rid of our trash anymore.
Right.
As a society.
Mm-hmm.
We pay people to do that for us.
Right.
We pay our taxes, or your water bill. A lot of municipalities, it's included on your water bill.
Yeah, water and sanitation.
Right? But imagine that broke down.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine they're not picking up your trash anymore. Most people have no idea what to do with that trash.
Right.
What do you do with it? Do you burn it? Do you take it to the landfill? Where is the landfill?
Mm-hmm.
Do they charge? Most people, I myself, and I'm talking most people, including me, don't really know what to do with all this damn trash that's piling up.
Right.
Would you know, like off the top of your head, where to go?
At least like you and I know where the landfill is.
Right. But I mean, off the top of your head, if you didn't know where it was, what do you do with it?
There's plenty of dumpsters.
So that's the other thing, right? Let's talk about that for a moment, because it's a form of theft. If you go use someone else's dumpster, right?
Okay, I can kind of see the mental gymnastics involved in that. I mean, no, it does make a certain amount of sense, because somebody is paying for that dumpster.
Right, exactly.
And, it gets picked up at certain times. If it fills up before that designated time, they have to pay for another pickup.
Right. Or if it's overflowing, there are fines.
Yeah, I've got a buddy who, like, he didn't have normal trash pickup. He got a dumpster.
Right.
And, he would have that dumpster picked up like once a month or whatever. But if something happened, like if he had, some event on his property, or, he was doing some renovations or something like that, that would, fill up before the designated time, and he'd have to pay for another pickup.
Yes.
And God forbid, they weren't timely in their pickup.
Yep.
Because it's not like, the garbage truck comes, dumps a couple of, cans.
Right.
They've got to get a roll off.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
a special vehicle
that comes and picks up that.
Yeah. Picks up that one, drops off the other one. Mm-hmm, exactly. So I can see how using somebody else's dumpster, I mean, is it like grand larceny? No.
Yeah, obviously not. But it is a form.
And once again, that's another one of those by inches sort of thing. Right. I mean, it doesn't seem like a big deal. It's like, I'm just dumping a bag of trash in there. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. Right.
Until it is a big deal. Till now it's 2 bags of trash, or you do it and somebody sees you do it. And then they do it, and then they tell their buddies, "Hey, man, you just go to this dumpster behind the Taco Bell or wherever." I'm not advocating behind the Taco Bell.
Yeah, don't go to Taco Bell, and when you get, use their dumpster when you get caught. Say, Jim told me.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, it won't hold any fucking weight.
Right.
I am not authorized to speak on behalf of Taco Bell, regardless of all the years I spent working for them.
Right.
Well, even then, my word carried no weight.
Yeah.
Zero. Yeah, like negative is like
you didn't even have control over the sign outside.
Yeah, they're like, oh, he told you? No.
Yeah, I told this that fucking guy.
But yeah, that's it's just one of those things.
Yeah,
that's why you see a lot of those people. They got fences around their dumpsters with padlocks.
Right, I get it.
Shits like that. But yeah, I mean, we take a lot of those things for granted. The trash, I mean, water,
running water. Yeah.
We turn on the tap, and or the toilet.
Mhm.
Like they think that's just some magic seat.
Right.
You don't have water. That toilet doesn't do you a whole lot of good.
Mhm.
You're good about one flush.
Yeah, until the tank empties, right?
And you have no water.
And you have no water, right?
Yeah, so though that's just another of a long list of things that we take for granted.
Yeah, and if you actually look, and this is why the whole environmental argument is really compelling for younger people, right? Because the facts are we waste a lot.
Oh yeah,
a lot of water, a lot of food. We throw shit away that other people would gladly pay good money for.
Right. Well, that's like we spoke about. I don't know if we spoke about it on the show or if we were just talking.
I think we were just talking.
Yeah, but a movie called The Book of Eli.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington. Great movie. I highly recommend it for a variety of reasons. But there was one line that really stuck with me. Someone was asking him what life was like before.
Yeah.
And he just basically said, we used to throw things away that people kill for now. And that really struck home for me.
Right.
And, if we want to loop this topic back into the migrants, we, as the, ugly Americans that we are,
right,
are at a disadvantage
Mhm.
because a lot of these migrants coming from other places, they know what it's like to go without.
Right.
They know how to go without.
Mm-hmm. The average American has no idea.
They would rather be here and be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to work with people at the steel mill and factories and stuff like that would come from other countries. These were people that were like doctors and lawyers and accountants and like,
right,
things around here that were big money jobs.
Right.
And they would rather come here and sweep floors than be a doctor or a lawyer in their home country.
Yeah, whatever country of origin.
Yeah, because we just overall had more opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, and that says something right there about like, number one, overall, recent events aside, just overarching how great our country is compared to other places in the world.
Right.
That they would, give that up to come here and, be a janitor or, flip burgers or whatever, because it's still better here. They would rather come here and be homeless than deal with whatever. And I can't even imagine because I've never been in those places.
Right. Exactly.
But the point I'm trying to make is these people know what it's like to go without. These people know the fucking struggle. And by and large, we don't.
Right. Most Americans.
I mean, I am lumping here, but
of course, the
because
majority of Americans have no idea. What
there's
it's like
a lot of there's a lot of people in this country that knows what it's like to go without.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot that know.
There's hell, you and I,
Oh yeah.
When we were younger, we used to go without, couch surfing and going to like Hot and Now and begging for their expired cheeseburgers.
Yeah, they're throwaways.
You learn the tricks on urban survival.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, hey man, if you go to Arby's 15 minutes before close, this is not current information, by the way. This is just like when I was younger. This is
we were kids,
some of the things that I used to do.
Yeah.
Like,
1920s.
You go to Arby's like 15 minutes before close. They'll give you all the apple turnovers they got because they can't keep them.
Yep.
Back in the day, KFC, they couldn't save their chicken. So any chicken they had left over, it just got thrown out.
That's before, just so you guys know, that's before they started like the chicken pot pie. The chicken pot pie uses the leftover chicken from the day before.
Yeah, they found ways to increase their efficiency.
Yeah, same thing with Wendy's and the chili.
It's also a reason why like you get later in the day at places like KFC. You're waiting for your food because they don't have the food on hand because they don't want to waste that.
They don't want to waste it. Yeah, I actually worked at KFC for a little while in Louisiana, And it was interesting.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, there's a very fine line, right, that you have to walk for having enough food to serve your customers that come and having too much food that you're going to have to throw away.
Yeah.
Food costs are a huge part of running any successful business that serves food, obviously. You've got your overhead, your labor, your this and that, but food costs represent a huge amount.
Yeah,
and I'm not advocating for KFC as a company or whatever. This is where I worked, but
right. I worked with a good dude that worked nights at KFC. So like we'd show up in the morning and he'd just have boxes of chicken.
Yep.
I'm like, why do you keep getting all this chicken? He's like, end of the night, they can't save it, so we just take it home.
Yeah. That's like when I worked at Domino's, right?
Yeah.
Occasionally you get orders that people, especially pre-internet days, right? You get the prank calls, you get the ridiculous prank deliveries, you get people who have nothing better to do than fuck with the local pizza place.
Yeah.
So we'd end up with extra pizzas, and you gave them away to staff because you can't do anything with them.
Yeah, you can't resell them.
You can't resell them. This was made for something else. Now, once in a great while, you get to where someone ordered a specific pizza and it was bullshit. They didn't come get it or whatever, and you happen to get an order at the exact same time for the exact same pizza, right? Sure, that happened.
Right.
But that was
yeah. But all that food has a shelf life.
Yes,
it has a very limited time frame. It's why I went back to the whole Hot and Now thing.
Yeah.
Because they would just, anybody who's not familiar with Hot and Now, they had a very simple business model. You ordered a burger the way it came.
Yep.
They would make a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
And they were cheap.
They were dirt cheap.
Because you didn't get them the way you wanted.
Right.
You got them the way they came.
The way they came.
They would just crank out burgers and you would spend 39 cents and you would buy a burger.
Right. Yeah.
If you didn't like pickles,
like 39 cents.
then you can take them off.
Yeah, exactly. You can pick them off.
But, they were cheap, but they only lasted for so long. So after, however long, I mean, they were still technically good.
Yeah, but the taste started progressively getting worse.
And there was that, per health department regulations.
Yeah, you can only keep something under a hot plate for so long.
When you're hungry,
under the lamp.
A couple germs is whatever, dude.
Right.
So like, we would go to Hot Now and, hey man, how many fucking expired burgers you got?
Yep.
And sometimes on a good day, we would 2-3 sacks of, kind of cold, shitty hamburgers.
Yeah, but edible.
Yeah, but
food.
You weren't going hungry.
Exactly. That's it.
You weren't digging through the dumpster.
Right. And that's something else that I think, because I've had this discussion with my kids before, you don't like dinner, whatever, right? There's a point when you get hungry enough, you will eat anything you think is edible.
Well, and that's funny you should mention that. It was something that people have actually done studies on that.
Okay.
And it's one of the problems of like when you have a societal collapse or something like that, there are people that like you get to a certain point where you just will not eat because like that food's gross. We are so ingrained, in the convenience of food,
right, that
people will legitimately go hungry before they'll eat something that they don't like.
Right, which is wild, dude. It's wild.
Yeah,
those represent the minority. The vast majority.
It's actually a lot more. It's a lot more common than you'd like to believe. But I will agree at a certain point, if your survival instincts kick in, you'll eat something that's just edible.
Oh yeah,
and maybe not entirely edible.
Yeah, even that is a kind of
because my whole life I've been a notoriously picky eater.
Yeah, I remember.
As I've gotten older,
less picky about eating, more picky about everything else.
Yeah, a little less picky about eating. It's just like I don't want to be hungry. Yeah, if there is food in front of me, I will eat it. Yeah, regardless of there's some things that are just too disgusting to fucking eat.
Give me an example.
Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
There is not a thing in the world you can do to a Brussels sprout to make me eat it. Mushrooms, straight out. Nope, never.
Never would eat a mushroom no matter how hungry you are.
No, dude, my body cannot, like, it will kick it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Do you just like vomit when you eat a mushroom, or?
Yeah, actually.
Fair enough.
And I think some of that.
Interestingly enough, my wife is the same way. That's why she has to get, like, she has to make sure there are no fucking mushrooms, because she will have a physical
reaction to it.
I tested it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't tell her, and it was a little bit of mushroom juice. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
In something, and she got violently ill.
Yeah. No, I'm not to that degree.
Like, I thought she was just full of shit.
I've had people like sneak mushrooms into like chili.
Yeah.
But it's like diced up so fucking fine that like you can't tell. And I think for me, I don't like the taste of mushrooms to begin with.
Okay.
But more than that, it's the mouthfeel.
Okay. All right. Now let me ask you this: have you tried both canned and fresh mushrooms, or have you just tried one?
I don't know how many different ways someone has tried to feed me a mushroom. I won't do it. I will not do it. Like, that is one of the big things. Like, when I was younger, my dad made like cream of mushroom soup. Yeah. And it was, it was back in the day where it's like, this is what you're eating. This is what's served. This is what you're eating. Dinner, and you're not going to eat any. No, you're not eating anything else.
Well, yeah. If you don't.
Until, like, if you didn't eat this for dinner, it would be waiting for you at breakfast.
Yeah.
And.
Yeah, until it was gone, you ate nothing else.
Yeah, and a lot of times, my father would win the war of attrition every time. Yeah. Except for that time.
Okay. That one you were unmoving on, unwavering.
Yeah, I just could not do it. Like 3 meals later, I'm like, wow. He's physically forcing me to eat this stuff, and I'm vomiting back in the bowl. It's like, okay. This is, I'm not gonna make my kid eat vomit.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Your dad could be an asshole, but he wasn't that big of an asshole.
Yeah, it's there was that point. It was just like, okay, this is obviously the hill he's gonna die on.
Right. You got to a degree, you got to pick your battles, and that wasn't one worth waging. At that point.
It's like, at the end of the day, he's not gonna let his kid fucking starve. So, anywho's.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, we don't understand the struggle.
Right.
As a fucking society.
As a society, exactly. That's why we've talked before about this, but a lot of people don't realize how close we are to civil collapse.
Mm-hmm.
On a day-to-day basis, right? You have and we as Americans have become entirely too comfortable with convenience.
Yeah. What is it they say? 3 days?
Yeah. 3 days in general, right? Obviously, this is situational specific, and it fluctuates based on different factors.
But like when you're talking about the grocery store has about 3 days worth of fucking stock.
Yeah. About 3 days, and that's it. If they don't get resupplied, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. About 3 days for whatever, their normal shopper count is. 3 days worth of goods. And then what they found is that, interestingly enough, that time period is what correlates to like societal collapse and when people start turning on each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in a neighborhood or a city, the power goes out, right? And you have no communications, you have nothing with anything outside, it's just your little group. About 3 days, during the first 3 days, there's this willingness and desire to work together. The stuff that's starting to go bad, they'll have neighborhood barbecues, and everybody shares and da-da-da-da-da. After the third day, now that there's no longer, meat that's going to go bad that needs to be cooked, now you're on to, okay, what now?
Mm-hmm.
Day 4, people start turning on each other.
Oh, yeah.
They start thinking, okay, well, that guy's got a generator. I need that generator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get me that generator.
Right. Yeah,
And
cooperation breaks down.
Cooperation breaks down. That's why, like, one of the most fundamental, I guess, rules of societal collapse survival is to surround yourself with people that you trust, can trust, not just trust, but can trust, that are deserving of that trust.
Right.
And like family or
and that,
lifelong friends.
that's I don't think a lot of people realize like how wrong they are about trust because they've never had to really test it.
Right. And you know what? That's a huge thing. Think about this, right? So your friends, your general, like, growing up friends, right? How many of your friends like bangs your old lady behind your back, or secretly talk shit about you behind your back, or little stupid shit, right? Because let's face it, that's stupid shit in the grand scheme of things, right? Or maybe you gave money to run to Taco Bell and they lost $20, or you know what I'm saying?
Something
little shit like that, right? Now imagine your life is on the line.
Yeah.
And their life is on the line. If they're willing to do the kind of shit that they've done.
Well, or even like you have friends who have never done any of that. Right. Like they would never bang your old lady behind your back. They always give you your exact change back when they run to the store for you. Whatever. Yeah, those are fairly, in the grand scheme of things, fairly insignificant things.
Right.
They're just oopses. They're, fucking inconsiderate.
Yes. Exactly.
Now, like you said, now we're going back to like people's lives are on the line.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, I can help this guy out, but there's a risk to myself now.
Right.
Now I could face bodily harm. Now I could die. Now I could go without.
Right. Well, here's a practical example, right? A practical example is you have, let's say, 400 rounds of ammunition, okay? And you have a really good friend who has 20 rounds of ammunition, right? And this friend is like, hey, man, can you share? You have a decision to make.
Right.
Because you have that stuff to take care of you and yours. And it doesn't matter how, like, close you are or how, what I mean? This is life and death decisions now, because we're not talking about where you can run to Walmart and pick up some more. This is societal collapse or whatever, right? We're at the precipice, and it has happened. And you have, for example, let's just say you have 6 months worth of food for your group, your family, your wife and kids, and that's it. That's what you got. And you have a friend or a sister or a cousin or a brother who doesn't have any stockpile.
Right.
Who chose to, for example, drive a Lexus rather than stockpile. And then shit hits the fan and they go, hey, man, those are decisions you have to make.
Right.
And what happens when they decide, because a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, people's mentality really starts to shift when survival is at hand, right? And then it's, well, he won't share, so I'm going to go take it.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's what they found, right? During that, because they've done multiple studies on this. And unlike the breeding habits of frogs or mating habits of frogs, I think this is a useful study. They've done studies, and after about the 3-day mark, it starts to break down. After the 1-week mark, people are literally killing each other for resources.
Yeah, for a can of beans.
For a can of beans, yes. That's why it's easy to, to think harshly of these migrants, if happening, eating pets and et cetera, right? But they come from a different world.
Right.
A completely different mindset.
And let's be realistic about that.
Okay.
Like, how long I'm going to throw this out there for you.
Yeah.
How long do you think it would take you to decide, you know what, that cat over there, I would fill my belly pretty good.
Right.
I got nothing else to eat.
Right. Right. I don't know, but there's definitely a point where it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know the exact amount of time.
Right.
But
that's the whole point.
Right.
Is at some point,
yeah,
that cat becomes less cute.
Yeah, and more food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, survival.
And more, filling.
Yeah, it will keep me alive for a while, and I think that's where we're missing the jump, right? The mental jump from cute, fluffy pet to this will keep me alive. I'm not excusing it, right?
Right.
It's not okay. This is our rules and our laws here that should be obeyed, right?
Yeah. There's societies where I'm sure, that is completely acceptable behavior.
Right. Exactly.
Because, you get hungry enough, you're going to eat a rat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Grilled, fried, how you want it,
Look at that. What was that? Like the soccer team back in the day, their fucking plane crashed.
Oh, yeah. Where they crashed in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they had to eat the dead people. To fucking stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you got to do to survive.
You do what you
or
have to
you
do
don't survive.
Or you don't survive. Exactly. There are plenty of stories of people who chose not to survive, right?
Right.
I mean,
some people are just wired that way.
Some people are just wired that way. But the point here is there are plenty of people who are wired for survival and are going to do whatever they can do.
And let's be clear, like eating people is not the healthiest thing in the world.
Well, no. Shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it is not a sustainable strategy.
Right.
There's like a bacteria in there or something.
Well, from what I read, now this is not, I'm not a doctor, I'm not any of that shit, right? But based on the information I read, the brain is like you can't eat another human's brain, or it's like a prion or something. There's like a disease.
Yeah, there's something in there that
it fucks us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has an adverse effect on us.
Yeah, Kuri or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest is,
which again, to reference Book of Eli, they could tell like the people who resorted to cannibalism, like they would, somebody would come into their little settlement or something, and they'd say, "Put out your hand," to see if they had the shakes.
Yep.
Because whatever it is in human flesh, screws with your nervous system.
Right. Now it's bugging me. I want to know the name of it. Hold on. What's the disease? Kuru. That's it. Kuru.
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. Kuru is a very rare disease. It is caused by an infectious protein, prion, found in contaminated human brain tissue. Kuru is found among people from New Guinea who practice a form of cannibalism in which they eat the brains of dead people as part of a funeral ritual. Yeah. So that's how they know that it's bad. It's bad for you. But allegedly, and again, I'm not a fucking doctor, don't listen to me, but allegedly that's the part that you can't eat. Everything else is
natural.
Right. I don't know. I said, don't fucking, don't go eat somebody that be like, Dion told me. Shut the fuck up.
If you're taking advice from us,
right. Yeah.
You're taking your life in your own hands.
Exactly. Right. So there are people that are wired to where they will do anything,
right,
to keep themselves and their unit.
So they consider hypothetically, eating a cat or a dog is not
that big a deal in the grand scheme,
right? It's just
not a big
so interesting to me that like there are people in the world that do that on the daily.
Yeah.
On the daily. It's perfectly normal. And like here, greatest nation in the world, people can't even cook. You know, you give them like ingredients and
I do. It is crazy. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is crazy how nowadays, think about the level of survival skills possessed by the average urban dweller.
Yeah, zero.
Yeah, like think about it. If you don't have access to a microwave, that immediately cuts the knowledge of most people by a tiny fraction. You know, they end up with a tiny fraction of survival skills if there's no microwave.
Right.
So, okay, now take away the stove. No electric stove, no gas stove. They have to make shit on a campfire, for example.
Right. Yeah. Or, you know, more realistically, an oven.
An oven.
Because you can make a campfire.
Yeah.
You can't bake shit on a camp. I mean, not easily anyway.
Not easily, yeah.
You know, anything that requires an oven to heat food up, you know, and, you know, like, okay, let's say, for example, you do find some animal that you could eat.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Well, you can't just like take the animal
and throw it in the campfire.
Yeah, if I can turn it over the campfire a couple times, call it good.
Yeah.
You know, there's
steps.
There's a process to it.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
You know, any real hunter will tell you that. There's, you know, there's a certain way you have to field strip a deer. If you screw it up, you ruin the meat.
Yeah. Yeah, if you puncture like the intestines.
Yeah, any of those organs.
Yeah.
You know, the liver, the kidneys, the spleen, these are all filters.
Yeah.
They have toxic shit in them.
Yep.
And if that gets into the meat, that meat is now toxic.
It's now bad to eat. Yeah.
You know, you can cook it all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. And that the shit will survive. And
it's still no good.
Yeah.
You know, you might as well be eating feces.
Right. Yeah, there's and I'm no wilderness survival expert.
Oh no,
you know, definitely not. I could probably skin a small animal, right? Or I should say field dress a small animal, a rabbit, a squirrel. I know enough about how that's done. Larger animals, I have no fucking.
I couldn't. I know the concept.
Okay,
that's it. I have no practical knowledge in it.
Yeah, I have actually witnessed someone do it. They tried to teach me. Like I said, I could probably fumble my way through it.
The only thing is like a goose or a duck or, you know, waterfowl, something like that. You know, any kind of game bird, I can probably like do that because it's fairly easy to breast them.
Yeah, it is.
You know, especially like the smaller birds. Outside of the breast, you don't have a lot of usable meat there. It's, you know, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. But you can tear the breasts out fairly easy and you've got some good meat there. And you're not messing it up. The chances of messing it up are fairly low because you're not getting into the organs.
Right.
You know, you're getting into the stuff on top.
Yeah, the stuff outside of the rib cage and, you know, stuff like that, the bone structure.
Well, I mean,
there's a barrier there.
Yeah. You still got to like get into that breastbone and stuff like that, but you're basically just ripping open the skin and just tearing the shit out.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to puncture anything at that point. Like I said, I have a little bit of practical knowledge there. Like a deer, you know, anything like that, never field stripped it.
Yeah.
I know people who do. I know people who do it all the time. Though if I can make shit out of it, you know, they can, you know, butcher that thing up.
Right.
You know, easy peasy. You know, one day I'm going to have them walk me through it.
Right.
Because I feel that's a good skill to have.
It's definitely a good skill to have.
Or taking a butcher's class, you know, something like that. These are skills that, you know, a lot of people lack.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is there is a fundamental lack of real survival skills with the majority of America.
Well, and not only that, like there's an oversimplified view of these.
Air conditioning way too much.
Oh yeah, totally. An oversimplification of the concepts.
right?
It's like somebody's like, well, I got a gun or I got a bow. I can just, kill this, deer, or I can kill this moose, or I can kill this pig, or, do whatever.
Yeah.
And,
then what?
Hunting's hard.
Yeah, you've done it.
Yeah, hunting is hard.
Yeah.
There's a reason they call it hunting and not killing.
Right.
It's one thing to like, okay, it's deer season, you set up your blind, you've got your trail cams and stuff, people do a lot of prep work to that.
Yeah.
Or they just sit in a box or in a fucking stand and wait. And are just really bored all day.
Yeah.
They don't, I've been hog hunting, 2-3 times. Never saw a single fucking hog.
Right.
Saw all kinds of other shit that I couldn't hunt because I was there to hunt hog.
Right.
But never saw a single fucking hog. Other people did. Mm-hmm. Other people shot hogs.
Yeah.
Not me.
Not you.
Hunting is fucking hard. You got to know how to hunt. And even then you're and hunting when you're hungry is even harder.
Even harder, yeah.
Because now you're on the clock. Because
mm-hmm.
the longer you go without eating, the harder it is to do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever seen, so there's several, obviously, survival type shows, but have you ever seen Alone? The series?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, where they put this person,
mm-hmm.
a lot of it happened in Canada, right? These fucking big, open, vast fucking areas of Canada.
Yeah, where it's real fucking cold.
Oh, yeah.
They're like close to the Arctic Circle kind of Canada.
Yeah, it's fucking freezing. Anyway, they drop them off there and they have them survive,
Yeah.
And whoever lasts the longest wins,
mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of money.
And once again, that's like, we're talking about the show.
Yeah.
There's a lot about that show you don't see.
Right.
Like they talk about, these are the 10 things that they have.
Yep.
They have more than those 10 things.
Right.
Those are the 10 things they get to pick. They have emergency rations. Yep. They have stuff that they're just given.
Right. Right.
They don't show you that because it's not as entertaining.
Right. Right.
But I'm not downplaying
mm-hmm.
the skill involved there.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of skill. Not everybody can do that.
No, hell no.
As a matter of fact,
I couldn't build some of these people have built truly impressive.
Yeah. Well, the season I watched, there was a guy, he was set. He didn't win.
Right.
He did not win. He had his shelter done.
Okay.
He had food. He had a good stockpile of food. He had a good supply of water. He was set up.
Let me see if this is the one I think it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was all set up. And he tapped out because he had nothing to do. He was just sitting there with his thoughts because he was too good at it. So he's like, yeah, I just started to, think about my family and, just here by myself. And I missed my wife and I missed my kids. And he radioed in and had him pick him up.
Yeah. This is not the guy that I was thinking of, but I will say this. It's easy, right? It's easy to sit at home and go, you're fucking pussy. You should have. Like, I no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
No judgment to that guy in that moment. Seeing his wife and kid again and spending time with them was more important than this fucking dangling check, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, cool. A lot of these people, what they found when going back, because I like to watch the after fucking, the interviews with them. Many, many, many of these people have discovered something about themselves doing this.
Oh, yeah.
But there was one guy in particular, right? And it goes back to what we were talking about before. He had fish. He had a great location where he caught like a ton of fish. But his brain wouldn't let him eat enough. He was continuing to lose weight. He had plenty of food. But he was rationing it so hard that he was continuing to drop weight. And because he had like smoked it all and it was good for a long fucking time. And the medical check that they did on him, he was losing too much weight. He had gotten below, the medical tap out.
Yeah, because they do
medical checks.
Regular medical checkups.
Because you can't just kill somebody in the woods, man, by dropping them off and leaving them there. You'll be shut the fuck down.
Right.
Like, you can't do that. But They do a good job, though, I believe, at showing a glimpse, right? It's not, it's reality TV, not reality.
Right.
But a glimpse at what sort of struggles you're looking at being alone.
Well, what I really liked about that show was the fact that it wasn't like you have to survive 90 days in this wilderness, or there's no time frame.
No.
You're in it until everybody else quits.
Yeah. And you have no way of knowing how well they're
and
doing.
you never see them.
Nope.
You never see anybody but like the weekly medical check.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a hell of a mental game.
Yeah.
It really, really is. It's a hell of a mental game.
And that's just like a little taste of like what would happen in a societal collapse.
Yeah.
Like you're not, oh man, I need to hold out for a week, or I need to hold out for a month. I need to hold out. This is your life now.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, you just have to assume that, well, this is how it is now.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something, right? Look, the reality is no one is coming to help you. That's just the way that it is. If you think that FEMA is going to come in and swoop in and save the fucking day, FEMA's not there for you. FEMA's there for order. That's what FEMA is about. Anyway, all kinds of stories from fucking Louisiana during Katrina. Fuck FEMA. The point is, these agencies and the government their purpose isn't to step in and save you. Their purpose is to protect the assets that the government considers critical.
Right.
They'll move in, they'll secure the National Guard Armory, they'll secure, you know what I mean? But they don't give a fuck about you. You have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
You have to worry about
you're just
yourself.
in the way.
You're just in the way. Yeah, and if you want to go and fucking, turn yourself in at the FEMA camp and, take care of me, yeah, they'll take care of you. They'll put you in the fenced area.
Yeah, go ahead and roll the dice.
Yeah, and, you'll have maybe a bed and maybe, some MREs.
Yeah, and as long as you just comply.
That's it. That's it right there. If you just comply.
Yep.
And full circle. And just comply. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, just do what we tell you.
Just do what we tell you, and everything will be okay. You'll be safe. Your family will be safe. What's safe though?
Right.
What does that word mean?
Yeah. What does that word mean? Honestly.
What does safe mean? Free from attack? Free from what?
Like, a shepherd's job is to keep the sheep safe.
Exactly.
A rancher needs to keep his cattle safe.
Right. But eventually those cattle are going to be slaughtered.
Right. Yeah, and you can't slaughter them if they're not safe.
Right.
You don't want those fucking wolves to get to your cattle.
Exactly. You just comply.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
I mean, it's just amazing, like, how much people really don't think. Like, they think about it.
Yeah.
Like, some of these, like, preppers and stuff like that is like, you can't prep for everything.
No, you can't. No, it's impossible to prep for every single potential scenario.
Right.
It's just not possible.
And, I'm not saying you can never do it, but, like, I love seeing people, like, they're in the middle of urban areas, and they're like, I'm a prepper. I fucking stockpiled this and I've stockpiled that. And like, you are in the wrong place to fucking stockpile. Oh, yeah. If you are especially if you're in a major urban area, your fucking survival plan should involve getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Anytime there's societal collapse, right? The worst place to be is a heavy urban area.
Yeah.
Now, is it good for scavenging? Absolutely.
To a point, yeah.
To a point, right? But as far as like holding up and defending, oh no.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, to me, like anybody who's in a major urban area and they're like, yeah, I've got food stockpiled and I've got ammunition stockpiled and fuel stockpiled and guns and this and that, you're not prepared. No. You're a target.
Oh yeah. And that's
like
something else.
You are like, if my mindset
Mm-hmm.
If you're that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you're that guy because you're not usually very quiet about it.
Right.
I know that you've got stuff. I may not know what all you have, but I know
Right.
you've got something.
You got stuff. Yep.
Now, I may not have a lot of people I can trust,
Mm-hmm.
but I can definitely get enough people to fucking overpower you.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
hey,
yeah.
This guy's got stuff.
Uh-huh. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't think about either, right? Whenever you're talking about long-term survival, okay, you have to be of the mindset that there will be groups working together, even if they only work together long enough to take your shit.
Mm-hmm. People are very
fucking kill
opportunistic.
each other for it, whatever.
People are very opportunistic.
Yes.
They will cooperate with each other as long as there is a benefit.
Right. And that's what, like, it doesn't dawn on people. You're not going to be defending your horde. Yeah, you'll have the lone bandit occasionally. Right,
Mm-hmm.
One dude or whatever who thinks.
Oh yeah, you'll have those. You'll have plenty of those.
You'll have plenty of those.
That's not all you're going to have,
but
though.
That's not all you're going to have. Exactly. And let's not forget that in this sort of situation, right, especially with a large scale societal collapse,
Mm-hmm.
right? I guarantee you there are military units that go rogue.
Oh yeah.
That decide, you know what? Fucking everything's broken down.
Let's
take care of each other.
It's not even necessarily about going rogue. It's just about, well, let's just say that the command structure breaks down.
Right.
Well, now we have no orders. What do we do?
What do we do?
We see that overseas.
Yeah.
You've got units out there. They're on their own.
Uh-huh.
You're just on your own.
Yeah.
And they're going to do what they got to do.
Yep.
And this is
in Vietnam.
Yeah, and this is where like government becomes very akin to a bandit tribe.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have people that aren't the best thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the best strategists.
Mm-hmm.
They got a strong back, flexible morals.
Yep.
And would like nothing more than somebody to tell them to do something in exchange for
resources.
Yeah, an easy
keeping them alive, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's no shortage of those.
Especially if they offer a few of the creature comforts that once again we take for granted.
Right.
Hey, I got some booze. I got some cigarettes.
Yep.
I got this. I got that.
I have this area that has power.
Yeah. Yeah, water.
Water.
I keep coming back to Book of Eli. I just can't help it. I love that movie so much.
Okay.
And
it's
that
a damn good movie.
Yeah,
dude.
and that the settlement in there that a lot of it takes place around. The guy who founded it. He got his power and he got the settlement as big as it was because he knew where there was water, and he built his settlement around that. Around an underground, freaking spring.
Was it like an aquifer or a spring or something?
Yeah, it was just a big fucking supply of water.
Though, because we're talking about Book of Eli, right? You obviously are a big fan of the movie.
Yeah, huge fan.
Okay, so I was with it up until the whole he's blind thing. I had a real hard time. With that, and I even went back and rewatched the movie because I'm like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. What do you think?
Okay, so here's where it gets into the whole the biblical thing, and stuff like that, where he's the the prophet, the apostle, whatever the fuck, not to give shit away, but
if you haven't seen it by now, man, I mean, come on.
And like if you're not paying, and like I watched it several times, and I'm looking for cues on whether or not he was actually blind.
Right. Same.
Because it's like, well, was he blind or did he just know how to read Braille?
Right.
So I there was a lot of that, but there was the whole like he was under God's protection.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole the fantastic, the fantasy kind of vibe to it.
Right.
But there was that layer.
Yeah.
But there was also that layer that was disturbingly realistic.
Oh yeah. I mean, there were there were many instances in that movie that were very powerful and were very easy to see how, oh yeah, that could definitely happen.
Right? You know, it was just like, you know, there were parts in it where, like, you know, people weren't scared of guns.
2010. I was just seeing what year it came out.
Yeah, they weren't afraid of guns because, like, somebody pulled a gun. They're like, you probably don't even have bullets for that. Because that's where they were at.
Can you stop kicking my fucking camera?
No, I'm not even kicking it now. It's just every time I move.
Get some sandbags.
Yeah, like
it's fine. It's fine. I'm just
yeah. I hear you sandbags. You've been saying this for fucking 3 months now.
Yeah, at least. I just haven't got around to it because I don't feel like it. I got other shit to do, man. Shit.
Oh.
But anyway, all right. So if you haven't seen the movie by now, I highly recommend watching it. It is a really good film. It is.
Yeah, watch it. It's incredible. I mean, as a movie overall, it's incredible. Is there going to be some scenes that you're like, maybe, probably, but you know, take it as a whole. You know,
as far as here's the thing, right? Look at the state of modern cinema. Today's movies are fucking hot garbage.
And it's Denzel Washington. I don't think he makes a bad movie.
You can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with a Denzel movie. Dude.
Right.
But Book of Eli, highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
You should watch it. That's all I got. Anything else you want to?
No, I mean, I could go on forever just rambling about nonsense.
I know. But yeah, we'll wrap it here.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you spending the time with us. Stay tuned. A whole lot coming. See ya. Wait. God bless you. God bless Indiana. God bless the United States of America.
Amen.
Amen.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.